Freelance journalist Nabila Ramdani has been following developments in Egypt and mostly on breakfast as well, haven't you? You've been our sort of resident analyst as we've been watching this crisis unfold, Nabila. So we should ask you really your reaction to what happened yesterday. Did you happen to be in a BBC studio looking at the pictures at the time?
I was on set speculating and accumulating, as my taxi driver says, with Frank Gardner. And as soon as I left the studio, I saw the footage of people rejoicing and scenes of jubilations, and it literally brought tears to my eyes, and I kept crying for a solid hour watching all these people.
We were sitting on breakfast this time yesterday morning talking about the disappointment that the people had felt when Hosni Mubarak had refused to step aside. What do you think it was that triggered his decision to finally go?
To be perfectly honest, I think it's Washington. I think people in the Obama administration were cringing 2 days ago when they saw that appalling speech, Mubarak clinging on, determined not to step down, and dare I say, the language in his speech was much more in defiance to foreign powers than resistance to the grievances of his people.
Do you think, I mean, how much do you think there were just wheels within wheels behind the scenes, that although the people on the streets of Cairo want to claim this as an enormous victory, that this is about other things, this is about foreign policy as much as anything else? It
is indeed. And what is very noticeable is that the Egyptians were determined not to see their revolution being hijacked by Western powers. They made it a domestic issue. They didn't want any influence from abroad to determine what's good for them.
But you're saying that actually the truth of the matter is it has been Western influence. It has been Obama's influence.
Absolutely. There was an awful lot of work going on behind the scenes.
Tell me now about the military are now in charge, caretaker government, promising that elections will go ahead. But as we heard from John Lyon a little bit earlier, you know, as a protester who wanted to remain anonymous, wanted the camera switched off, said, actually, we're worried, we're scared about what might happen. How much faith is there in this military caretaker regime?
I think any country ruled by the military is a scary and daunting prospect. And I don't think people do trust the military. Remember, it's very much the old generation of the military, the allies of Mubarak, the corrupt billionaires who made millions and indeed billions out of being close to Mubarak and close to the Americans and indeed Israel. And they do not trust the high rank of the army. And it is scary to see an interim government run by generals. And that's why they're now determined to see real democratic changes being implemented.
Right, well, I know we're going to be talking to you a little bit later on as well, but for now, thanks very much indeed.
Pleasure.